When she starts struggling with severe depression, her psychiatrist prescribes a new medication, a drug that promises to help her sleep and stabilize her mind. At first, everything seems normal, but that all changes one night when she wakes up standing over her husband, covered in blood. Now, it appears that this is a tragic case of sleepwalking and a dangerous side effect. However, when the psychiatrist investigates deeper into the drug, the patient, and the people around her, he realizes that the story doesn't add up. Because, as it turns out, this prescription didn't only treat a patient, it may have pulled him straight into a carefully orchestrated game he had no idea of. Before everything goes south, Emily was actually doing really well. She's a 28-year-old graphic designer whose husband Martin has just been released after 4 years in prison for financial fraud. They reunite emotionally and return home together. But despite this, Emily doesn't seem happy. The next day, Emily crashes her car into a wall in a parking lot. It looks like a suicide attempt, and she is rushed to the hospital, where a psychiatrist named Dr. John Banks is called in to assess her. Emily tells him she can't afford a long stay because she is the sole breadwinner while Martin gets back on his feet. John discovers the crash was deliberate and agrees to discharge her on the condition she attends weekly therapy sessions at his clinic. He prescribes medication and sends her home. During therapy, Emily opens up about her life. She talks about moving to New York, working at a bar, meeting Martin, and eventually marrying him. She also reveals she has struggled with depression before and was previously treated by a psychiatrist named Dr. Victoria Seaver. Curious, John seeks out Victoria, who tells him she treated Emily for 9 months after a miscarriage triggered her depression. Victoria then suggests John switch Emily to a newer drug called Ablixa, claiming its popularity gives it a positive psychological effect and that she has used it successfully with her own patients. Emily and Martin attend a friend's party where Emily has a visible depressive episode. Later, she has another episode at a metro railway station, and police intervene to save her. She then visits John at home and tells him her current medication is causing dizziness, and that a colleague named Julia had similar issues but improved after switching to Ablixa. Based on this, John enrolls Emily in Ablixa trials and is offered a salary of $50,000 for the work, thrilling both him and his wife Dora. Emily begins taking Ablixa and seems energized, with her relationship with Martin improving. Soon, she starts sleepwalking and acting out in her sleep. Martin wants her to stop the medication, but Emily refuses, insisting it makes her feel better and threatening to switch doctors if pushed. John allows her to continue. One evening, while Emily is cutting vegetables, Martin comes home from a business trip. Emily, in a sleepwalking trance, stabs him repeatedly. The next day, police arrest her. She tearfully claims she had no control over her actions. The government lawyer contacts John because Emily insists on seeing him. John explains her depression history and sleepwalking, and the lawyer raises 2 possibilities: deliberate murder or Emily as a victim of improper medical treatment. Emily blames everything on the Ablixa tablets, claiming their side effects caused her to act unconsciously. John goes to Victoria since Ablixa was her suggestion, but now Victoria denies ever recommending it to him. Emily's lawyer then cites a similar case where a wife killed her husband in an unconscious state and was acquitted. The lawyer warns John that if Emily continues blaming her treatment, his problems will only grow. The story spreads publicly. Martin's mother reads Emily's statement on a television debate show, where Emily claims to be a victim of improper treatment and directly blames John. The public learns Emily was taking Ablixa, and the controversy explodes. The makers of Ablixa deny any wrongdoing, stating their medicine is FDA approved and widely used without harm. Watching all of this, John realizes he is in serious trouble. The media begins hounding him, his other patients lose trust in him, and the hospital questions his judgment, concluding he made a mistake due to stress and overwork. His home life begins to fall apart. In court, Emily's depression and the potential side effects of Ablixa are acknowledged, and Emily is acquitted of her husband's murder, protecting both her and John from legal consequences. She is sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment, with John continuing to oversee her care. But John now faces a new problem. The controversy around Ablixa has destroyed public confidence in the drug, and sales have collapsed. The blame falls on the woman who originally approved Ablixa for trials, the same woman who had offered John the $50,000 job. She turns on John, holding him partly responsible for the fallout. His job offer is withdrawn. A friend suggests a risky solution. John should imply in court that he and Emily had a romantic relationship and that this drove her to kill Martin. This would protect his medical reputation, restore Ablixa's credibility, and recover his job offer. The friend argues that sacrificing his character could save his career. Reluctantly, John goes along with it. But the media quickly runs the story, throwing his personal life into chaos. His wife grows suspicious, and John struggles to convince her nothing happened with Allison. While researching Ablixa, John comes across a published article by Victoria in which she mentions that some of her patients had experienced sleepwalking as a side effect of the medication. John confronts Victoria, demanding to know why she never warned him. She defends herself, saying all treatments carry side effects. This makes John suspicious. He begins to wonder whether Emily, after reading Victoria's article, had orchestrated the entire situation deliberately. To investigate, he visits the parking lot where Emily originally crashed her car and finds the witness who saw it happen. The witness reveals that Emily was wearing a seatbelt during the crash, suggesting it was not a genuine suicide attempt but a calculated act. John also visits Emily's workplace to ask about Julia, the colleague Emily had mentioned who supposedly took Ablixa with good results. After thorough investigation, John discovers there is no one named Julia in Emily's office. When he confronts Emily, she admits Julia was not a colleague, but someone she had known from a bar 5 years earlier. John realizes Emily has been lying, but cannot yet understand why she would kill her husband and risk her own life. John's friend points out that Ablixa's reputation has been severely damaged and that some people involved in trading have actually profited from its downfall. John checks the trading records and finds that Ablixa's shares have plummeted, causing significant financial losses for many, but gains for those who shorted it. Slowly, he begins to piece together Emily's full plan. He tells Emily that to help secure her release from the mental hospital, he needs evidence for the court that she has recovered, and proposes giving her a truth serum that will make her drowsy and lead her to answer his questions honestly. He films the session on camera and injects Emily with what he tells her is the serum. Emily acts drowsy and answers his questions, confirming his suspicion that she had been faking her depression all along. John had actually injected her with salt water, not a truth serum. Salt water causes no drowsiness, so Emily's performance exposed her completely. Armed with this evidence, John approaches the government lawyer demanding the case be reopened. But the lawyer explains that under American law, a person acquitted of a crime cannot be retried for the same offense. He also warns John that reopening the case would damage both their careers, exposing John's failure to detect Emily's deception and the lawyer's own role in acquitting her. Reluctantly, they drop the matter. But John is not finished. Still determined to uncover Emily's full plan, he visits the mental hospital and notices Victoria's name on the visitor register. He realizes Victoria is involved in Emily's scheme. He confronts Victoria, bluffing that he already knows everything. Victoria plays her final card. She reveals she had taken 7 photographs of John and Emily together, staged to look like they were in a romantic relationship. She had even gifted Emily lingerie to support the story. Victoria sends the photos to John's wife, who loses faith in him and leaves. John remains unfazed. Victoria invites John to a meeting, threatening to release the photos to the media if he doesn't stay silent, which would ruin his medical career entirely. John counters by threatening to expose how Victoria had manipulated Ablixa's shares and made millions from its downfall. This leaves Victoria panicked. John then plays another move. He manipulates Emily into believing that Victoria has betrayed her. He shows up carrying a suitcase, making Emily think it contains money that Victoria was supposed to share with her, but kept for herself. Emily, terrified of being trapped in the mental hospital forever, decides to support John and reveals the entire plan. The truth finally comes out. Emily had married Martin for his money, but his trading schemes eventually led to their financial ruin. She learned trading tricks from him and later met Victoria, a psychiatrist with her own financial ambitions. Together, they hatched a plan to target Ablixa. Emily faked her depression, staged the car crash, acted distressed at parties, and engineered the apparent suicide attempt at the railway station, all to create the illusion that Ablixa's side effects were destroying her life. She never actually took John's prescribed medication. She only took Ablixa to ensure it showed up in her medical reports. Victoria, meanwhile, had bet against Ablixa's shares, a high-risk move given that the stock was rising at the time. Emily's staged murder of Martin, blamed entirely on Ablixa's side effects, caused the shares to collapse, making Victoria a millionaire. Now fully aware of the scheme, John plays his final move. He releases Emily from the mental hospital but requires her to visit his clinic regularly. He arranges for Emily to meet Victoria, but Emily doesn't know that John has set a trap. She meets Victoria and, feeling safe, confesses everything. What neither of them knows is that the police are listening through a hidden microphone. Victoria is arrested for trading manipulation and conspiracy to commit murder. John then sends Emily back to the mental hospital and submits a report stating she must remain there for the rest of her life. With everything resolved, he reunites with his family and returns to his happy life. In the end, Emily was playing everyone and making them believe she didn't know what she was doing. Thankfully, John eventually sees the truth and is able to save himself. That's it for today's recap. But before you go, I gotta ask, what would you do if you discovered your patient wasn't mentally ill, but was actually manipulating everyone around them? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one.